So this video is sponsored by Pionex, one of the exchanges I use all the time. It's one of the main crypto brokers to Binance, so the volume is very high. The main thing that sets them apart though is that you can use free trading bots, a variety all designed to benefit from different market behaviours, whether that's up, down or sideways. You'll get 20% off all your trading fees for life with my link in the description. And if you join the Telegram, a lot of us already use it, so if you've got questions we can try and help you out. Hello everybody, welcome back. So we're gonna look at today's charts and not think about this Megalodon virus thing and the looming threat that might cause to traditional markets, which might overlap into crypto. So we're just going to imagine that that's not even a thing. All right, we're just going to focus on the charts this time. I've spoken about that for the last 2 days. I don't want to have to keep going on about it, so let's just put it out there. I mean, there is a chance of a black swan, but from now on we're just going to put that to the back of our mind, and if it happens, it happens. So we're just going to focus on the charts and the charts alone. And today, rather than just looking at Bitcoin, we're just going to have a think about what is round the corner for altcoins. Should we expect another alt season or significant alt rally? And long story short, for those who are in a rush, yes, definitely. So you can go about your day now. But if you want to know the details, we'll have a look at that now. So first of all, we'll just start with Bitcoin, and this is the deal. So Bitcoin's still basically in its downtrend, getting rejected yesterday from the 200 exponential on the 4 hourly, right? So we're just looking at the 4 hourly. This is the best way for me to determine if a reversal is taking place. We need to take out the last previous high candle body closures above 59,000, which from today would be above the 200 exponential. That would be a first telltale sign that we're able to get ready to break, but I don't think that would be well, obviously that could happen, and we could just continue from there. But confirmation for me would first of all mean a retest of the 200 exponential on this 4 hourly to show that it's a support. And also I'm looking for the itchy cloud signal, not for the one for trend continuation, but the one for a next big push. And so in order to get that like now or over the next few days, we would need to push above this top of this cloud here for the Chiku span, not the price action but the Chiku span, which is coming in at exactly 61,000, so a major area of resistance anyway, so a pivotal area basically on the daily. But we can see on the 4 hourly that it definitely has confluence here, that is a reason. So basically what we'd be looking at is, if we were to push above 61,000 today or tomorrow, then it would probably have another big push up, like a really big one. We could be pushing up to our previous high, 66 or whatever. And the reason I say that is that if we measure this Chiku span, from here to the current price action, it would take roughly about 4 or 5 days before it actually is able to get above the cloud. The reason that's important is that is the signal. We've got a green portion at the moment. It's only very small, but a green portion here we've already got across. We need to get the price above the cloud and then a Chiku span above the cloud. So if we're hanging around this region still, it'll take about 5 days basically for that signal to be written. But if we did push up to 61,000 or above, the Chiku span would close above this cloud, meaning that we should have a big push up from that level as well. So that's what we'll be looking for really for the next big. That's what I would be looking for anyway for the next big push up. So for the moment, still obviously consistent with the downtrend on pretty much all the time frames, but we'll see where we go. Now in the very short term time frame, just based upon the fact that we don't have those signals and we did have this rejection and we are turning down on the MACD and generally still technically in a downtrend, I would be looking for the downtrend to continue. Do we come down to this low level again or lower? So that's the bottom of the buy zone that we had in there. That corresponds to these zones over here basically. So this overall is still the buy zone. Until it breaks down, then we can talk about sort of lower levels, probably just below 50,000 I would say, if we were to break down further from here and create new lower lows. So 50,000, 49,000, 50,000 still on the cards definitely, but for the moment there is a chance that we actually do forge on the smaller term time frames a higher low, and that would be based on these areas here, which is about 55 to 56,000. So it's a box within a box. So what we'll do is we'll go for 55,500 rather than having boxes in boxes. So it's not an exact support, it's right in the middle. So between 55 and 56,000 we could find ourselves getting supported on there, and that would be great. Between 55 and 56,000, that would basically on the short term time frames on the 4 hourly maybe form a higher low, and the next thing you'd be looking for would be a higher high, and then we would then on the 4 hourly, which is an important time frame I'd say, especially when we're looking for reversals, to turn up. So that's the deal with Bitcoin. You know, again, sitting on the sidelines for me is my preference. You know, I'm fully allocated really, and I'm looking for both sides opportunities really. If we go down lower, that's fine. I will buy some more things lower. If we go higher, that's no big deal. I will continue to ride what I already have and maybe play some derivatives if we're looking at a strong trend. But for the moment, definitely sitting on the fence is my preference while this trend decides if it wants to continue or reverse. So basically we might even see that sort of thing today. But looking for the itchy cloud signal is definitely going to be my preference. So if we break out above and close above 61,000 over the next few days, should have continuation. If we hang around this level towards the end of the week, coming into Friday, Saturday, then we should have the same signal at a lower price, which means that we probably will get a big push up from that level as well. So things are looking good, provided we don't break down lower than, well, I suppose, you know, as far as the signal is concerned, we don't want to go lower between now and the weekend of we'll call it 57,000. That would mean that the signal wouldn't be able to be generated. The price has to be at that level or above by the weekend. But yeah, we'll see where we go over the next few days. But long term, okay, so we just think about Bitcoin very briefly, and then we'll talk about what I think is going on with the altcoins situation. So weekly does favour, I think, a little bit more downside, does look a little bit top heavy. So in all fairness, like I do think that over the longer period, I suppose a week or two or three, we might test lower, unless of course, you know, we get pushed up. Yeah, we have had instances where, you know, we get these crosses and they form and they drop lower, and then we stay lower for a little while. Using something like the MACD on its own is no way to treat a chart, but it does show momentum shifting to the down. So but it's still in bullish territory. There's not a negative cross, so we can't play any kind of signal or anything like that until it actually happens. But it does look a little bit heavy, I have to say, on the weekly. But on the short-term time frames, it wouldn't take a great deal for it to push up and then continue up. So we've already established that the 4-hourly is where the battle's being fought, and the weekly is basically just a byproduct of this skirmish that's taking place. And the war is fought on the weekly, or maybe even the monthly. It depends on your overall strategy. The long term for Bitcoin is clearly always going to be up. It just seems that way, to be honest with you. And to hold on to what Michael Saylor says, which is the best time to buy Bitcoin is always 5 years ago, and that's the statement. That is the one statement that he has ever said that basically resonates with me, which is true. Right, so this is Ethereum versus Bitcoin. We can see that with Ethereum is basically a relatively decent indicator of the overall picture for altcoins, right? Versus Bitcoin. This is probably one of the main reasons that the Bitcoin dominance fails to break out properly, because Ethereum, everybody wants Ethereum, so it's all to do with Ethereum's strength. There are other coins that take up large market caps, but Ethereum is massive in comparison to everything else. It's really just, there's nothing that really comes close for it, really. And we can see that basically we keep coming up to this level, and this is our major rejection. It's basically just short of 0.8, so it's 0.79, 0.079 Bitcoin. That is your Satoshi value for an Ethereum. Massive, if you think about it. It's really big. That's a big deal. And the chart is still very bullish. This looks almost like a giant bull flag. More than that, to be honest with you. It's just a consolidation at a high level. However, we are at a resistance, and each time we've touched this resistance, there has been significant reaction to it, a downside reaction. However, you know, the resistances break, as do supports. You know, we've tested this resistance technically 1, arguably 2, 3, and coming up for 4. And the general rule is, and again, there's nothing to take home to the bank or you get tattooed to your cheek or whatever, but the more times a resistance is tagged, the more likely it is to break. Same with the support. The more times the support is tagged, the more likely it is to break. And what we see here is that the resistance is being tagged more than any support. There's no main support down here. It's basically just wiggling around moving averages, and the resistance is the one that's being tagged the most often. So it does favour a breakout from this level, whether it does it this time or next time or whatever. I have to say though, the chart is trending above all major moving averages. Is above a very nice big green cloud. It's turning up on the MACD, RSI, and money flow index with no bearish divergence on it whatsoever. Does look pretty good. So that favours altcoins in general, because that offers strength to the Bitcoin dominance chart, which is what we're looking at here. Bitcoin dominance chart on the daily now, and again, this is a very easy chart to play for the most part. is a simple Bollinger Band strategy. You can get rid of all these wiggles. You can see that basically the Bollinger Band strategy is the one that holds most relevance. Rejections from the bottom, rejections from the bottom. A few little occasions where we came up to the top, mainly rejections from the bottom here, even the 10 exponential, and then again the center of the Bollinger Band. And it's a bearish looking chart, which is good for altcoins in general. So the strength is in altcoins, and if you ever want to buy a dip of anything, and you're confident to buy a dip, then I suppose not all altcoins are created equal, but altcoins seem to be the place to do it. And we can also see on the weekly here the Bollinger Band strategy, bang, 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 rejections here, and here, and here, and so yeah, it does look like it's going to at least come back down to the 40% dominant zone, where we might and probably will find a bounce, but we may not. Again, it's a bearish chart on all time frames. But the one thing that does slightly concern, but it's not a massive concern, this is a weekly chart. Okay, so this is just something to think about. We do have a cross on the conversion baseline below the cloud, but that's not a signal to play on its own. That's just one component, and being a crossing below the cloud is not a trend continuation signal at all. So the only thing it would offer would be a potential push up, and that would only be the case if the price was above the cloud, the Chiku span was above the cloud, and the cloud over here was green, and we don't have any of that. So yeah, you can play these crosses if you like, but that's not the way to do it. The Ichimoku cloud, the point of it is you got 3 or 4, depending on which strategy you're using, signals that have to correspond with each other. Otherwise, it's a void. It's not a signal. It's not how to use the cloud. So we've got a cross here. So maybe in the long term, and I mean like into the end of next year or some point next year, there will be a major reversal. But so far, there's a long way to go before that happens. I mean, like a long way to go. Maybe even an entire year, but it looks before that actually becomes a valid signal that could be played. So just something to take home and think about. Right, so we're looking at the total market cap, including Bitcoin here on the daily. Rejections on the center of the Bollinger Band, so simple Bollinger Band strategy being played out here. Again, downtrend really forming, or already in play, and I would say that considering that the Bollinger Band seems to be such a relevant way to play this, we would be looking for closures above the center of the Bollinger Band, which is about, today it's 2.61 trillion, sorry. Closures above there would likely spark a continuation up. Now, if we go back to the weekly on this one, we see that actually it's relatively bullish. We've got a support on the 10 exponential here. We're above the Bollinger Band still, center, which is a great place to be. And we've got our conversion baseline. This is the opposite of what we just saw on the dominance chart. This is a great signal. This is a continuation of trend signal. Above the cloud, price above the cloud, cross above the cloud, and the Chiku span above price. That's your trend continuation. On top of that, we've got our cupping handle, which is still playing out. So we're having a pullback, and we'll probably still continue up. This is what I expect to at least... Well, I say at least, it's difficult to say really when it's market cap, but I mean it's a strong. We've got 2 strong signals there. One's an actual signal, the other one's a formation, and they're both bullish. So there's no reason to doubt that this won't continue up on the long term. And like I say, if we come down to the center of the Bollinger Band, no big deal. No big deal. And if we have a look at the total market cap excluding Bitcoin, it actually looks a little bit better. So this is it on the 4 hourly so far. We've broken above the 200, which is great. We're also above the cloud almost. We'll be on the next 4 hourly anyway. Again, this isn't a signal to be played at the moment, but it's just showing that there are signs that we are likely to turn around and that altcoins are the place to be. I know that, I mean, generally speaking, it's all good to be honest. It's all good to be. I'm not bearish on crypto as a whole. I'm very much bullish. We are still in a downtrend, but that could be reversing as we speak. But again, further downside, no big deal. The long-term picture, based on the weekly, which again can take weeks to play out, is still very much bullish. We look at the total market cap excluding Bitcoin on the daily. Again, the Bollinger Band strategy is still pretty much the one in play. It was very wiki. This is very in keeping with the way that altcoins pump and dump and accentuate whatever Bitcoin's doing. So Bitcoin still drive the market, but you can see there's a lot of opportunity in Bitcoin and altcoins. Sorry, so massive wicks up, massive wicks down. It's amazing. It's like a bed of nails, and this essentially just shows the beauty of altcoins as basically amplifiers of Bitcoin's move. So Bitcoin, and that's probably Ethereum as well, driving the market. If Bitcoin pulls back, we get a larger dump for altcoins, and then we get a bigger bounce for altcoins. But look, generally speaking, this actually is quite interesting to see. And for those who trade altcoins or follow the market, on a daily basis, you know what I'm talking about. Obviously, if Bitcoin pulls back, you'll see, let's just say 5% on Bitcoin, you get 10% on altcoins. But then you get a bounce on Bitcoin, you get a bigger bounce on altcoins, generally speaking. So it's just showing that this is how you could easily play this market by basically following Bitcoin's chart, but trading altcoins almost as an afterthought, basically. So whatever Bitcoin's doing, if Bitcoin looks like it's going to have a pullback, you sell or you short or whatever you want to do. Like I say, I'm not a financial advisor, I'm not telling you what to do, but altcoins are basically just amplifying Bitcoin, and the market is moving essentially as one. But altcoins seem to be the better place to be, largely, I think, dictated by Ethereum's strength. So it's all on Ethereum, really. Ethereum's carrying the market generally. We've got our cupping handle still playing out on the weekly. We've got our conversion baseline cross, again, just the same as the total market cap, including Bitcoin. So the two charts are very much exactly the same, and they're playing out exactly the same. So the market can be viewed through the same lens, which is a bullish lens on the weekly, and no reason to dispute the fact that this is a very bullish situation that we're in right now. Even though we are pulling back and have been pulling back for the last week or so, the last couple of weeks, it's still no big deal, because the main thing to take home is the weekly chart. And this is what I always try and explain to people. I'm not a big futures trader. I don't generally promote it in any way, because I know that it will wreck most people, unless you're an active trader that understands charts and risk to reward, and you've got a good risk management. Then I would leave it alone. Spot trading is all you really need. We are in a bull market. We get some decent moves for altcoins generally, and Bitcoin as well. So you don't really need to do futures trading. And so basically the long-term picture still looks pretty good, and I'll be looking for both altcoins and Bitcoin to rally up. Now, based upon the fact that altcoins seem to be held up by Ethereum's strength, we do have to hope that Ethereum breaks out from here. If it does, it's going to carry the altcoin market. And if you think about it on a fundamental level, you've got all this NFT stuff, you've got all this metaverse stuff, and it is all basically driven largely on I suppose, resting on the back of Ethereum. Ethereum has basically got the best fundamental setup at the moment, and probably going into the future, it does. And it's I would say, out of all of the things in my ledger, it's been the most consistent and best hodl that I've had, and I will continue to do that, really, because of the way that things are moving. It does seem to favour Ethereum more than Bitcoin, and the chart can tell you that just by looking at it. This is Ethereum versus Bitcoin, and it's pretty absolutely epic, to be honest with you. I'll be looking for this breakout here, and this should emphasise an altcoin season. Now, the reason we're looking at this is because if this breaks out, considering how much weight this chart has on the Bitcoin dominance chart, and we'll just go back to that quickly. If the Bitcoin dominance chart breaks down below 40, we go back down to this level here, which is 36.5, we'll call it. And I know that doesn't sound much. The dominance chart used to be a lot more, I suppose, relevant, because you'd need big moves to get big gains, and obviously the bigger the move, the bigger the gain anyway. You can see what happened in January all the way down here. That was an enormous time to be in altcoins, and we loved that on the channel because we basically hit the nail right on the head there. But it was a very obvious trade, and you might think, well, here to here is not much, but what you got to understand is that the difference between here to here is hundreds of billions. Back around here, there was the market cap was a lot smaller for the total market cap in general. It's not the case anymore. The market cap is enormous, and so it doesn't take much for altcoins, especially the small to medium cap ones, to rally hard in just a smaller gain, because that from here to here is an enormous amount of money. And again, this is our all-time low essentially, and so that would be an obvious place for a bounce. And there's no reason to doubt that you couldn't break down further from that. But we take things level by level. So overall, Bitcoin dominance bearish, Ethereum relatively bullish, market short term potentially bearish, but we could be looking right at this very moment at a reversal. But I do favour a little bit of downside back down to about 55 to 56. See if we can hold that level. If we come back down further, then I would expect lower than we've gone recently. We do have the looming threat of a black swan, so that again can't be accounted for on the charts. So, in summary, short time retest of slightly lower. If it breaks down, we're going to get definitely lower. Overall, weekly, pretty awesomely bullish for Bitcoin and altcoins as well. and I think the alt season is still on course for what I would consider to be a really decent December into probably next year and maybe even beyond. But that's just based on a weekly, and the weekly is the main one to take home, and the weekly is the most important chart as far as I'm concerned, and the weekly says we're awesome. So I'll leave it with you there. Thanks for watching. I hope you have a nice day. Take it easy.